this film we're going to show you routine maintenance on an RTA piston. The main piston, the piston rings, the stuffing boxes and the standpipes belong to the engine parts which sustain wear and which should all be given maintenance every 6,000 to 8,000 hours of operation. After shutting down the engine as indicated in the operating manual, pages 031 and 032, we can begin work. You'll find all the information you need about piston maintenance in the maintenance manual in groups 214, 231, 270 and 340 to 362. On the green pages you'll find the corresponding information for engines with the short piston rod. At the beginning of the working sheets you'll always find a list of tools with the appropriate code numbers. From these code numbers you can find the corresponding tool in the maintenance manual group 940. Please read up the instructions you've seen in this film in your maintenance manual. Always use the appropriate tools and make sure that everything is absolutely clean when reassembling. On the cylinder in question, the cooling water is drained off, then the cylinder cover is removed. The necessary instructions for this may be found in the maintenance manual, group 270, pages 1 to 3A. Protect all pipe connections against dirt and damage, especially this spherical sealing surface. The exhaust pipe is disconnected here. The cylinder cover studs are released and tightened with this hydraulic tensioning device. You can look it up in the maintenance manual, group 940, page OD, general instructions about using pre-tensioning jacks. Before placing the tensioning device on the cylinder cover, make sure that the stud threads and the contact surfaces for the presses are clean and intact. Open the vent plug briefly on each pre-tensioning jack so that the piston moves into its starting position. The round nuts belonging to the device are tightened till they are touching the piston and then turned back about half a turn. Check the dimension X to make sure that the piston is in its starting position and the necessary piston stroke is assured. The dimension X for your engine type may be found in the maintenance manual, group 270, pages 2 to 2C. Make sure that the hydraulic connections are clean and intact and that the cap nuts are screwed on tight. Keep the vent plug open till oil emerges without bubbles, checking the oil level on the pump at the same time. The pressure is raised to 600 to 620 bar till the nuts can be slackened with a Tommy bar. In exceptional cases, the cylinder cover nuts may also be slackened mechanically. The necessary instructions for this may be found in the maintenance manual, group 270, pages 3 and 3A. Check once more that all necessary pipework has been disconnected or taken down before lifting off the cylinder cover. Owing to the danger of tipping over, the cylinder cover must additionally be secured here. Make sure that the cylinder cover is set down above a gallery support, as close to the engine as possible, and on a soft underlay. The engine is turned till the corresponding crank assumes the angle stated in the maintenance manual, group 340, page 3. In this position, the piston rod nut is slackened hydraulically and tightened again afterwards. After removing the lock on the piston rod nut, the press holder is screwed on and the press mounted on it. The wrench must be set as close as possible to the press. The full press stroke should never be exercised. The press must be taken back from time to time, the wrench set back accordingly, and the press reapplied. On account of the accident risk, the press holder must be removed again after use. Before removing the piston, the so-called wear ridge must be ground off. When grinding, make absolutely sure not to damage the running surface used by the piston rings, and see that no grinding residues get between piston and liner. To do this properly, we recommend this special grinding device. It figures in the list of tools as a recommended item. Look this up in the maintenance manual, Group 214, page 4. At top dead center, the combustion residues are removed from the threaded holes in the piston crown with this tap which is supplied. Previously, some water has been poured into the holes to soften up the deposits. The piston suspension device may be fixed only with the special screws provided for this purpose. If the piston has to be removed under heavy sea conditions or in heavy listing, it is advisable to clamp this fixing device on the piston rod to protect the telescopic pipes. Make sure that the piston rod nut has been removed before lifting the piston. As long as the piston rod is still in the stuffing box, when pulling the piston, the crane must not be stopped. Lift the piston rod through the stuffing box in one pull. Watch that the telescopic pipes do not knock against the cylinder liner and get damaged. With these two supports included in the tool set, we ensure that the piston is safely placed on the top gallery. Look this up in the maintenance manual, Group 340, pages 1 and 1A. Protect the crosshead against any dirt which might drop down from the stuffing box. Every time a piston is overhauled, the piston rod stuffing box should be dismantled and inspected as well. Excessively worn parts must be replaced. Look up the maintenance manual, Group 231, pages 1 to 1C. After preliminary cleaning, the stuffing box is stripped down completely for inspection. Open the cock for the piston cooling drain before removing the standpipes. The standpipes are removed for inspection by means of this withdrawing screw after slackening the pressing screw a little. Look this up in the maintenance manual, Group 360, pages 1 to 1C. When removing the standpipes, make sure that no water gets into the crankcase. Finally, the two telescopic pipe stuffing boxes are removed. This is described in the maintenance manual, Group 362, pages 1 and 1A. The standpipes are inspected and fitted with new guide bushes if necessary. After a rough cleaning, the stuffing boxes are stripped down completely for inspection. All disassembled parts are now carefully examined. Inspect all parts of the piston cooling stuffing box. If the scraper and sealing rings are close to their wear limit, they must be replaced. Compare all dimensions with the clearance table in the maintenance manual, Group 012, page 8. The stuffing box is installed again in the reverse order. These sealing rings may be fitted only after the piston has been fitted. Here too, all parts must be inspected carefully. Scraper rings close to the wear limit must be replaced. Compare all dimensions with the clearance table in the maintenance manual, Group 012, page 4. The stuffing box is reassembled. As a general rule, rubber rings should always be replaced. Use only locking plates in perfect condition. Coat all rubber rings and centering parts with lubricating oil. The upper stuffing box group may be mounted only after the piston has been fitted. Now we come to the main subject of this film, the piston itself. Use only the piston ring expander intended for the piston diameter in question. See that the piston rings are forced open just enough to enable them to be taken off over the piston. Mark the rings so that if they are used again, they can be fitted in the same groove and in the same position. When cleaning pistons, take special care to ensure that all combustion residues are removed from the piston ring grooves. An old piston ring segment, prepared by grinding, would be a suitable tool for this purpose. Inspect the entire piston thoroughly, but especially the grooved part. The chromium layer on the ring grooves must not be damaged or worn. Defective piston ring grooves can be reconditioned by firms specialized in this work. These rubbing rings need replacing only if they have become loose or the piston is to run in a new cylinder liner. Loose tires are easily revealed by the tap test. Look this up in the maintenance manual, Group 342, page 2A. Whenever a piston is removed for overhaul, the cylinder bore must be measured out too. To enable the measurements to be compared with previous or subsequent ones, always measure at the same point using the same micrometer. That's why the measuring gauge and the inside micrometer provided in the tool set should be employed. The measurements must be made longitudinally and transversely. Make sure that the micrometer used is at roughly the same temperature as the cylinder liner. The dimensions must be recorded. Read up in the maintenance manual, Group 214, page 1. Finally, we must decide which piston rings may be used again. For this, the piston rings are measured out radially. Used piston rings may continue in service, provided the minimum ring width is assured at all of these 3 points till the next overhaul. Usually, the top 2 rings are replaced at every piston overhaul. In the maintenance manual, Group 012, page 7, you will find this diagram. Together with the cylinder wear, it will help you to establish the minimum ring width acceptable. On the abscissa, mark the largest cylinder diameter measured. On the ordinate, the smallest piston ring width measured. If the operational behavior and overhaul interval remain unchanged, it is possible to estimate whether the ring will last till the next overhaul. An example is given in the maintenance manual, Group 342, page 2. The piston rings must always be fitted with their designations facing up. The piston ring groove clearance must not exceed the maximum values stated in the clearance table, otherwise the ring, the piston crown or both must be replaced. Read up in your maintenance manual, Group 012, page 7. After all dimensions and clearances have been checked, the piston is ready for refitting. This job is described in the maintenance manual, Group 340, pages 2 and 2A. Check the function of the cylinder oil pump at every piston overhaul. Turn its hand crank till oil emerges at all lubricating points of the respective liner. This inserting cone must be well oiled before fitting the piston. Examine the contact surfaces of the piston rod and crosshead. They must not be dirty or damaged. This cone enables the piston rod to pass through the stuffing box without damaging it. The crank of the cylinder in question is turned about 90 degrees to the fuel pump side. Before fitting the piston, its rings, skirt and piston rod, as well as the cylinder liner running surface, must be oiled generously. The fixing device is attached to the piston at the same height as for removing it. Make sure that the guide cone passes through the stuffing box without obstruction. The upper scraper and sealing rings must not be fitted yet. The piston rings must be turned so that their gaps are offset 180 degrees to each other in the longitudinal axis of the engine. The piston must be aligned carefully so that the telescopic pipes can be run through their stuffing boxes without obstruction. The scraper and sealing rings must not be fitted yet. Under no circumstances is force to be used on the telescopic pipes. The piston is lowered till the guide cone is through the stuffing box and can be removed. Make sure that the centering pin on the crosshead enters into the piston rod properly. Molykote paste G has been applied to the thread and contact surface of the nut. On the stuffing boxes, the sealing and scraper rings have been fitted, as well as their locks and springs. To tighten the piston rod nut, the engine is turned till the corresponding crank is at the angle indicated in the maintenance manual, Group 340, page 3. After tightening the piston rod nut as much as possible by hand, we make sure by using a feeler gauge that the nut is really making contact. We then make a reference mark. On operating the pump, a torque is applied to the wrench till the piston rod nut turns through the angle indicated in the maintenance manual, Group 340, page 3A. During this operation, note the reference mark made previously. After removing all ancillary equipment and tools, the piston rod nut is secured by means of the locking segment, screws and locking plates. Finally, the stand pipes, overhauled and inspected, are refitted. Coat the rubber rings with Molykote paste. Fit the stand pipes at the left the inlet and at the right the outlet pipe. Watch the arrows. Look up in the maintenance manual Group 362, page 1. Note the location of the position pin when entering the stand pipes. After removing the withdrawing screw, the backing screw is tightened and secured with wire. Before fitting the cylinder cover, the following points are to be noted. New rubber rings of the specified size and quality are to be fitted on the cylinder cover. Coat the rubber rings and the contact surfaces with engine oil or Molykote paste. Make sure there is no foreign matter or dirt left in the combustion chamber. These sealing surfaces must be clean and intact. Always use a new soft iron ring 2 mm thick. Coat the stud threads and nut contact surfaces with Molykote paste G. All nuts are now tightened till they are seated firmly. Check with the feeler gauge and make a reference mark. As for loosening, here again the hydraulic tightening device is mounted to tension the cylinder cover studs. You can look it up in the maintenance manual, Group 270, pages 2 to 2C. After all jacks have been vented, the pressure is raised to 600 bar and held constant, then the nuts are tightened with a Tommy bar. Before releasing the pressure, check with the feeler gauge that the nuts are in proper contact and verify that all nuts have been turned through roughly the same angle from the reference mark made previously. If you find angle differences, the reason must be sought and the whole tightening procedure repeated. In exceptional cases, the cylinder cover studs may be tightened mechanically. This is described in the maintenance manual, Group 270, pages 3 and 3A. All pipework is reconnected. Absolute cleanliness must be observed, especially with the oil and fuel pipes. These flanges must be tightened evenly and parallel. You have just witnessed a piston overhaul and all it involves. The two stuffing boxes, the standpipes and the piston have been overhauled and parts replaced as necessary. Now the drain and vent cocks are closed, the inlet and outlet for cylinder cooling water are opened again and the system is filled with water. Start up the oil and water pumps, make a final check and make sure that all connections are absolutely tight. Now oil flow may be observed through the sight glass of the actuator pump. The piston has been fitted with new rings and these need running in without fail. Running in will ensure that the piston rings seal as quickly and as effectively as possible. The instructions and the running in program in the operating manual, Group 041, are to be strictly observed. If you have any questions about the subject of this film, or indeed about any aspect of the operating and maintenance of sulzer engines, please contact your nearest sulzer representative. We shall be happy to be of assistance.